All right, one of the main events, Brock Lesnar against CM Punk. And if you don't know what happened in the match, of course, Brock Lesnar won. There are the results, and let's go over the whole thing review-wise. I thought it started off with a bang. The fact that they just charged at each other was a good way to do this. I didn't want to see that dance around and he toys with Punk or anything. That was just, fuck you, we're going to start fighting. Not a fan of it, Drew?
Snoring.
Nah, no, I thought someone else was snoring, so I was just gonna make fun of him. No, I actually like this match.
I thought
Not
you
gonna-
actually were snoring now. I was
Yeah.
like, what the fuck, Drew?
Yeah,
thought
I
you were
was,
trying
but
to
it was
prove
a,
that
it was
you,
a joke. No, it was a joke.
One of the biggest surprises to me, other than the quality of the match, was how much of an equal Punk looked like to Lesnar.
Yeah.
I mean, he got in his fair share of offense.
I think he was overbooked, if anything.
I
Should
do
have
think it
much
was
more
overbooked.
like a monster in this match.
And we do need to mention that this turned into a no disqualification match because it couldn't have just been a regular match.
No, Brock hasn't done a regular match since he's come back. It would have been absolutely
Nope.
absurd.
Well, yeah, shouldn't. But do you think Brock should do a regular match?
No,
He doesn't
Yeah,
need to, that's the thing.
He's a
but other
special-
people have to. Otherwise, they're not going to stand a chance. If Brock's
Yeah.
just in there laying knees and those awesome German suplexes he does on someone, no one's going to stand a chance. They have to
Like-
be able to use chairs and cameras and
Yeah.
whatever else.
So, do you think this was just a
Absolutely.
last-minute plan to hey, we should change this to a no disqualification match, or was
I
it
think
just
they were
like,
supposed to in the weeks before, but just realized they didn't. So fuck it, Sunday. We'll just tell them it's a no disqualification match.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that they kind of booked the match and they were like,
Hmm.
we'll change it if we need to, and we're not going to worry about it right now. And then when push came to shove, they were just like, I think it would be better if we just went with the no disqualification match. So we have to announce it ahead of time. That's the whole reason why the Paul Heyman segment happened on the pre-show.
I think they had to figure out what they wanted to call it because they weren't sure if they wanted it to be a street fight or a no disqualification match
Or
or,
just no
a
holds
no holds
barred.
barred match or
Or
a
unsanctioned.
Chicago street fight or a barroom brawl
Or a Belfast
or
Brawl,
a boiler room brawl or you get the point.
Extreme Rules match is just,
Extreme Rules match.
I hate that so goddamn much. That's
Or
it's
a,
one of my biggest complaints in WWE.
Or no disqualification with a count out.
Was that No Rules has about 3,000 different names for
Yeah.
just one style of match?
It's just,
Last man standing.
but
And
yeah, I thought that it was a good decision to make this an ODQ match, and I liked the match. I thought it was really good.
It was.
One of the best matches this year, I would say.
yeah.
You would
It's in my
manga.
top 3, for sure.
It played a major part in saving this pay-per-view that otherwise wasn't particularly bad but wasn't particularly special either.
Yeah.
It was
This
a
was
good,
one of those
solid
pay-per-views.
pay-per-view.
Before we go on more, this was largely built as a 2-match show.
Yeah.
Let's not pull any punches there. And the 2 matches, and we'll get into the next one, I thought delivered awesomely for the money you were spending, if you were spending any at all to order them or watch them. I would say that the main event's more than delivered for the whole pay-per-view being built around the both of them, and it started here.
It doesn't have to be that way, though. I mean, you look at Money in the Bank 2011. That was a one-match pay-per-view. That was all booked around CM Punk dropping the pipe bomb, going against John Cena, and leaving the company that night. But every single match on that show was awesome. Even Big Show and Mark Henry had a good match on that show.
That is true. And even Extreme Rules 2012 had a pretty solid card, despite being built around Lesnar's return match. So I see your point there. But what I mean is, it doesn't need to be that way, but the matches that, did get the big spotlight, and starting here, they certainly did deliver. The quality that they were put behind. You'd agree, right, Peyton?
This match and the main event
Mm-hmm.
evened out everything. That's what I was basically saying. This match and that.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I'm just going to say those two. I'm not even going to bring anything else into it. The other ones were just mediocre.
Wasn't last year's SummerSlam built around just Brock Lesnar and Triple H? Or
Yeah.
that's the only thing I remember from that show.
Oh, no. Last year wasn't that the
Cena and
Cena and
Well,
Bryan?
it was
wasn't
Cena. It was
No,
Cena.
Cena and
Bryan,
Punk,
Cena and Punk.
It was Cena, Punk, and Big Show.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was 12 minutes long. And that stupid AJ finish. I don't want to talk about it.
that's the problem with SummerSlam, though, and then that's why we did that whole thing with Busted Open, whether or not SummerSlam is as big as it used to be. It isn't.
It isn't.
These 2 matches were really good, and they were matches. I mean, we're skipping ahead to the WWE title match, but these matches were SummerSlam worthy. The rest of the card, for the most part, wasn't.
Yeah.
But that's
And
how it
that's
is with a lot of shows these days. where it's like a pay-per-view can deliver with 1 or 2 really good matches, and the rest of the card is nothing to speak of.
I think
It's
that
not just a SummerSlam problem.
I think that they're burnt out.
Yeah.
And I think that the fact that they have a lot of oversights is testament to that. Like why they didn't announce that this was an ODQ match ahead of time. They surely should have known that they were going to go with a no disqualification match because everybody else was like, when are they going to announce that it's an ODQ match? We know it's going to be. And if everybody else knows that you're going to do that, and you guys are the ones that are supposedly, as Triple H says, nobody knows what we're doing backstage. They don't have any idea and all this bullshit. But yeah, the match itself, I really liked it. I thought that there were a lot of really good spots into it.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny that Lesnar hit the Three Amigos,
Yeah.
channeling the spirit of Eddie Guerrero there a little bit.
The only thing I have to complain about was maybe Paul Heyman's got involved a bit too much, because Brock Lesnar almost lost the match like a few times without Paul Heyman's interference.
Yeah, like Peyton had said, Punk was a little overbooked here.
Yeah.
And still, though, I thought that there were some good parts when Punk would do things like when he reversed the F5 and did the DDT.
Oh yeah, that was
It was great.
good spot.
That and their display of submission reversals was also a highlight.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
You know, get him in the Anaconda Vice. Brock would get him in, reverse it into the Kimura. Then I think Punk pulled out a triangle choke.
Yeah.
All within I spent 5-6 minutes. I thought that was a really good portion, part of the match. Yeah, who was it? Brock who had a chair when Punk kind of just did a dive over the top rope to him and landed on a chair that Lesnar was holding, or did Punk already have the chair in his hands? So I'm like, oh damn, it looked like it hurt.
Punk was holding it and did essentially an elbow drop with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the other parts that I liked a whole lot is when Punk gave him a low blow and said, "Where's your cup now, UFC boy?"
No, I thought one of the fucking best parts of this match is when Punk had the one of the steel ramps and then just Brock Lesnar just runs into him and just knocks him down with it. I thought that was a nice spot.
Weird seeing Punk attempt to lay Lesnar out with a go to sleep, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's a fucking weird visual. And then it all got put to rest with a vicious looking F5 on a steel chair to end it all. But it really was a war.
I really can't believe they got to the point where Brock Lesnar has run out of people to face that he's facing CM Punk.
You think it's about that he ran out of people? I think it's just because it's the Paul Heyman connection and people would buy the match.
Yeah, absolutely. And this was still a better match than any of the Triple H matches.
Oh yeah,
Combined.
Combined.
Would you agree to that, Peyton?
Maybe not the Extreme Rules match they had this year.
Like the cage?
That was pretty good.
But the first two for sure.
The first two for sure, yeah. But I don't know. It just seems like there's other people he could have done a match with. I get the Paul Heyman connection, but Brock Lesnar Taker is certainly one that's on the list. Obviously, that's being saved for a special time if they decide to do it. I feel like there's unfinished business with Brock Lesnar and John Cena because he lost to him. He needs to beat John Cena at some point.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar and Sheamus.
Mhm.
Obviously, we can't do that now because Sheamus is gone. Just because I like to see his ass kick, Brock Lesnar and Alberto Del Rio, but that's just the
That
personal
shouldn't be
thing
a
I'd like
match.
No, that should be in a dark street alley.
You know what it should be? They should come out there. Del Rio should do that stupid ass spot where he jumps through the ropes and lands on his back, and then he can just attack him the way that Del Rio attacked Sin Cara. Just runs out, just starts beating the living shit out of him. That would be amazing. That would end up winning Best Mark Out Moment of the Year.
If Lesnar just beat the shit out of Del Rio.
Yeah, if Lesnar just destroyed Del Rio, and then we can add him to the list of the people that's off TV for 6 months or whatever.
And then your top three would be gone, and you'd be like, man, I thought this would never happen.
I've actually started to figure out what's going on with Sakara. Tony paid him off.
Oh my
Think
god.
about it.
Ruining all my
Tony
plans.
paid him to botch. I knew it. Trying to get Del Rio injured. You
You're ruining my
immoral
debut
human
on
being.
Raw. You're ruining.
Well, it kind of backfired because Sin Cara himself got injured from the hit he was supposed to do by injuring Del Rio. But
Yeah, I
needless
think
to say.
Tony gave him the wrong directions. That's what it
So
was.
Burhan,
That's what Sin Cara thought he was paying him for, though. He just heard the word injured and money being put in his hands, and he's like, oh well, I always get paid to get myself injured, so that's what he's obviously paid me for.
You came to the right man.
So Burhan, what are your favorite moments and lasting thoughts of the Brock Lesnar CM Punk match?
My favourite moments is the whole entire match. I loved it. I was actually saying when we were talking about this on the Smark Out Moment website, cheap plug, that Punk couldn't go toe-to-toe with Lesnar. It was impossible. Lesnar was a big, huge, gigantic beast of a man, and Punk's this weedy little thing. So the way that Punk needed to get him was to grab a body part, target that body part, and make the dude submit, and he was doing that throughout half of the match, even though at the first half he was standing toe-to-toe, which looked weird. Then when he got the chair out and started beating the living snot out of him with that chair, it worked so well. He paid homage to Eddie Guerrero when Lesnar tried to get him in the F5 and he ends up with the DDT, which I loved. It made me mark out so much because it's like these guys did their homework in terms of, Punk's a huge Guerrero fan. He showed it with this. And Lesnar, being the fact that he had that match with Guerrero as well, paid homage to it. The one thing I didn't like was it's too much Heyman. Heyman kept getting in the ring every 5 freaking minutes. It was just like, this is Brock Lesnar. Seriously, do you really need to help him every 5 minutes? I understood at the end that they need to do that screwjob finish to make Punk still look strong and make Lesnar look good as well, because apparently they've changed plans in terms of Lesnar, because there's a rumor going around that Taker may be able to work this year's WrestleMania, so they want to put Lesnar in line to work with Taker, which means that Lesnar may not be back until that program starts up. If that's so, I feel bad for Punk because he'll never get his own win back. Apart
Or
from
should
that,
he?
Yeah, he
Really?
doesn't need it either.
Yeah,
I
no,
think
the
he-
Punk should not beat Brock Lesnar. No way.
well, Cena beat him, Triple H beat him.
And
They're
neither
bigger
should
guys.
Cena.
No,
Yeah,
Cena
Cena,
definitely
no.
shouldn't have. You shouldn't win a match against somebody who is making their debut. Or not their debut, their re-debut. He should have came in, destroyed Cena, and looked like a fucking beast. Because he
Yeah, I
attacked
agree.
Cena, the top guy of the whole company, and destroyed him.
It's like when you go into jail and you just punch out the biggest dude on the first day to make your impact.
Right, and if
Yeah.
you end up punching the guy and then he beats you up, then it's suddenly you're not that big of a deal, are you?
That's the thing as well. It's like they kind of bounce around the decision on what they want to do with people. In terms of the match with Lesnar, both guys looked amazing in it, and it was quite clearly, I would say, toe-to-toe with Bryan Danielson versus Cena as the match of the night.
Yeah, I would say that's a fair assessment.
Yep.
Both were
Yep.
of very great quality,
Yeah.
and it started here.
Either
And
one of them.
maybe-
Either one of them could have been the actual main event of the show, and it would have been fine.
Yeah.
And it made me impressed to be a wrestling fan. I was happy as hell. As I said, Payne, I love SummerSlam. It's one of my favorite pay-per-views. It's great what they did in terms of these guys, and they really, really did a hell of a job. So kudos to Punk, kudos to Lesnar. Not so kudos to freaking Heyman, because seriously, stop getting involved. And kudos to WWE for allowing these guys to do their thing.
Kudos to his tie for withstanding all that effort.
Exactly.
All right, guys, we're going to move into the next match. Dolph Ziggler and Caitlyn versus Big E Langston and AJ Lee.